Perhaps it's a relationship that no longer serves your evolution, yet the prospect of change feels impossible. Human experience follows these same quantum principles. You're not working toward them, you're revealing them. You're not becoming them, you're remembering them. Welcome to the Reality Revolution. This is an activation to get unstuck and move into total liberation from your circumstances. I ask you a question. Are you stuck right now? Do you feel like you're in a situation that you can't escape from? There's no way you can imagine your way out of this circumstance. Maybe you're stuck in a location, in a place. Maybe it's your family. Maybe you have people that you live with. I am meeting a lot of people that just feel stuck. Do you feel it right now? That invisible weight, that sense of being trapped in a life that's too small for who you truly are. It's like a cognitive claustrophobia, this existential compression that squeezes against your very being. You've tried everything to break free. New routines, new mindsets, new promises to yourself, trying to stay positive, but the walls remain. The limitations persist. The freedom you crave feels further away with each passing day. It's the paradox of stuckness. The more desperately you push against these barriers, these membranes of limitation, the more they seem to push back. But today, everything changes. Today, you activate the quantum mechanism that shatters those barriers forever. This is the radical discontinuity you've been waiting for. That moment when the caterpillar doesn't improve but transforms completely into something unrecognizable from its former self. You clicked on this activation because something deep within you, something in your cosmic DNA, your spiritual architecture, recognizes a profound truth that you are not meant to be stuck, contained, constrained, or confined by your current circumstances. You are a boundless being temporarily experiencing boundaries. We're going to hack the operating system of your reality construct and install a new program, one where stuck is just a temporary state before explosive expansion. No matter what your circumstances, where you live, who you are, what you do, you will find freedom. Let's break the simulation together. Being stuck isn't about a feeling, it's a multidimensional prison constructed of self-reinforcing patterns. It's when your neural pathways become so deeply carved, they turn into canyons, channeling every thought, every emotion, every perception down the same predictable paths. Stuckness is quantum entanglement with limitation. It's when possibilities that should be infinite suddenly collapse into a singularity of, this is just how it is. It's an invisible architecture of barriers, not physical walls, but thought constructs that feel just as impenetrable. You know this feeling because you're trapped in a job that drains your life force daily. But the golden handcuffs keep you there. Or maybe you're living somewhere that feels like an existential mismatch. Wrong city, wrong home, wrong family, wrong energy. But circumstances keep you rooted in place. Perhaps it's a relationship that no longer serves your evolution, yet the prospect of change feels impossible. Or it could be staring at the project, that dream, that vision that calls to your soul, while your feet remain cemented in place by fear, doubt, and habit. These aren't just situations that you're in. They're consciousness loops. They're the recurring dreams that never change. The stories you've told yourself so many times, they've hardened into what you call reality. But here's what this activation will do. It will introduce a new variable into your consciousness equation, like a quantum particle that suddenly behaves differently when observed. Your perception of these barriers will fundamentally shift. We're going to release these blockages, not by pushing harder against them, but by dissolving their very structure. This isn't about incremental improvement, it's about a paradigm revolution. We're going to open new pathways, not just to new possibilities, but to entire possibility fields that have been invisible to you until now. We are activating a new operating system where stuck is merely a data point from a previous version of yourself. I promise one thing. If you listen to this activation, you will get unstuck. The only question is, are you ready to transcend those limitations? Let's deconstruct this phenomenon of stuckness. It's not just a state. It's an entire architecture of consciousness. The psychology of feeling stuck is a recursive loop of perception, creating reality, creating perception. Stuckness exists in 3 dimensions simultaneously, a triadic structure of limitation. First, you have the physical circumstances, the job, the location, the relationship, the financial situation, whatever it is. These are tangible restraints that seem to lock you in place. These are merely the visible manifestations of a deeper matrix. The second dimension is the mental patterns. These are the neural highways that your thoughts travel down with such frequency they become grand canyons in your cognitive landscape. These thought patterns become so automatic, so invisible, that you can't see them anymore. They're the operating system running in the background, constantly reinforcing this message. This is just how things are. This is permanent. This is inescapable. There's nothing you can do. And the third dimension, perhaps the most profound and yet invisible, is the energetic stagnation. This is the vibrational frequency that you've become locked into, where your life force, your creative potential, your quantum possibility becomes frozen in a particular state of being, a particular reality that feels and seems inescapable. It's like your energy has become crystallized into a fixed pattern. What's fascinating is how these 3 dimensions create a self-reinforcing field that grows exponentially stronger over time. It's quantum entrainment. The physical circumstances reinforce the mental patterns, which deepen the energetic stagnation, which further cements the physical circumstances. It's a closed-loop system that feeds itself. Neurologically, what's happening is incredible. Your brain is literally pruning away neural connections to possibilities outside this stuck state. The pathways that represent freedom, change, and expansion are being metabolized by your brain because you're not using them. Meanwhile, the neural networks representing limitation are becoming superhighways of electrochemical activity. Here's the paradigm shift. The fact that you're here right now, listening to this activation, is the most powerful sign that you're ready for breakthrough. Your consciousness is already rebelling against these constraints. Some part of you, some quantum observer within you, has stepped outside the system long enough to recognize it as a system. This is the cosmic paradox. The very recognition of being stuck is the first crack in the prison wall. You're at the edge of phase transition. That magical moment when water doesn't just get hotter and hotter, but transforms completely into steam. Your presence here is the catalyst that will convert potential energy into kinetic transformation. Using the vibrations of my voice and specific word combinations combined with frequencies, this is a consciousness technology that enables you to become unstuck by changing your energetic patterns and creating potentials within your field. Let's dive headfirst into the quantum mechanics of transformation. The physics of state change isn't just some abstract concept. It's the fundamental architecture of how reality operates at every level. Think about water. At 211 degrees, it's just hot water. But add one more degree and boom, total phase transition. It becomes steam. Something with entirely different properties, different potential, different reality. That's not incremental change, that's radical discontinuity. This is happening everywhere in nature. The caterpillar doesn't gradually spout wings, it dissolves completely into primordial goo before reconstructing itself as something entirely new. The seed doesn't slowly morph into a tree, it cracks open and activates a genetic program that was invisible but always there. Human experience follows these same quantum principles. People don't typically change through slow linear progression. They change through exponential leaps. That moment when the addict suddenly sees their addiction with clarity, when the artist breaks through creative blockages into flow states, when someone in grief finally feels joy again. These aren't gradual slopes, they're vertical ascensions. The formula for unsticking is deceptively simple, yet cosmically profound. Awareness plus energy plus decision. Awareness is the observer effect of quantum physics. The mere act of observing a system changes the system. Energy is the activation potential needed to break existing bonds and decision. This is why traditional approaches so often fail spectacularly. They try to solve the problem from within the same system that created it. They push harder against the walls instead of dissolving the concept of walls. They're like trying to teach a fish about water. The fish can't see it because it's immersed in it. But this activation operates on a completely different principle. We're not trying to improve your stuck state. We're creating the conditions for phase transition. We're introducing a new variable into the equation of your reality. We're changing the fundamental frequency at which consciousness vibrates. When applied to human experience, phase transition means you don't become a better version of your stuck self. You become unrecognizable from that former state. Just like water molecules completely rearrange their relationship to each other when becoming steam, your entire relationship to your limitations is about to fundamentally transform. Listen carefully, because right now, your thought patterns are being disrupted. The neural grooves that have channeled your thinking into predictable loops of being stuck are being scrambled in real time. What if every limitation you perceive is actually a portal to something greater? What if the very walls that seem to contain you are actually gateways to expansion? What if the sensation of being stuck is the pressure buildup before explosive growth? See it now. Feel the weight of stagnation, that heavy, dense gravitational pull that keeps you orbiting the same reality day after day after day, and simultaneously witness its opposite, the weightless, boundless, infinite potential of liberation. These two states exist simultaneously in the quantum field. They're superpositions of the same consciousness. You're sitting in traffic late again, trapped in the same routine, and yet you're also standing on a mountain peak, breathing pure possibility, seeing your life from a vantage point where everything makes perfect sense. You're arguing with the same person about the same issues, and yet you're also engaged in a completely new conversation that breaks the pattern and opens unexpected doorways. You're staring at your bank account, feeling the compression of limitation, and yet you're also experiencing the expansive sensation of abundance flowing toward you from directions you couldn't have anticipated. This is quantum unsticking, the recognition that reality is not fixed. It's entangled with your observation. You're not stuck in one reality. You're constantly shifting between realities with every thought, every feeling, every conscious and unconscious choice. The multiverse is not some abstract theory. It's a lived experience of consciousness. Every possible version of your life exists simultaneously in potential form. The version where you're stuck exists right alongside the version where you've already broken free. Feel the rapid oscillation between these states right now. Feel yourself phase shifting between the reality where limitations define you, where you feel stuck, and the reality where possibilities ignite you and you are free. These aren't separate places. They're separated only by the thinnest membrane of perception. And that membrane is becoming permeable right now. You're developing the ability to phase through it at will. The quantum unsticking has already begun. Your consciousness is already shifting to the reality where breaking through isn't something you're seeking. It's something that has already happened. What if being stuck isn't a dead end, but a launch pad? What if this sensation of being stuck isn't constraint, but compression? The exact pressure needed to create explosive momentum. The caterpillar doesn't look at the chrysalis and think, I'm trapped. It recognizes this apparent confinement as the precise condition necessary for its metamorphosis. That cocoon isn't a prison. It's a transformation chamber. The very walls that seem to restrict movement are actually creating the conditions for the most profound reinvention in nature. The seed buried in the dark soil isn't stuck. It's perfectly positioned. The very constraints that surround it, the pressure, the darkness, the seeming limitation are the exact catalysts that trigger its awakening. If that seed could think, it wouldn't perceive itself as buried alive. It would recognize itself as positioned for breakthrough. Are you stuck, or are your current limitations serving the same cosmic functions? They're not preventing your growth. They're concentrating your energy for expansion. Like a bow drawn back, creating tension, storing potential energy. You're not stuck, you're being prepared for launch. The relationship that feels confining, it's teaching you exactly what you need to know about yourself before your next evolution. That job that drains your spirit is building specific muscles, specific insights, specific awareness that will be crucial for your next phase. That financial limitation is focusing your creativity in ways that would never happen without that constraint. This isn't positive thinking, this is quantum mechanics. This is understanding that pressure creates diamonds. This is recognizing that the sensation of being stuck is actually the feeling of potential energy building up. It's the compression before the explosion. It's the drawing back of the bow before the arrow flies. What if you started seeing your current reality not as a mistake to escape, but as perfect preparation? What if everything that seems to be holding you back is actually positioning you perfectly for a launch that couldn't happen any other way? Feel that perspective shift happening right now. Feel how the exact same circumstances can be experienced as either imprisonment or preparation for flight. The only thing changing is your perception, and that changes everything. Your limitations aren't permanent. They're developmental stages, just as the caterpillar must completely dissolve before becoming a butterfly. You're in the messy, uncomfortable, necessary process of dissolution before your next magnificent reformation. Feel it now, that subtle vibration beginning at the base of your being. A quantum rumbling that's starting to move upward through your system. It's like electricity finding new pathways through formerly resistant circuits, crackling, pulsing, illuminating areas that have been dark and dormant. This energy doesn't care about your blockages. It moves through them, around them, transforms them into fuel. Feel it accelerating now. It's like a river that's been dammed, suddenly finding a breach in the barrier. It's not a gentle stream. It's rushing torrent of life force that's been waiting for this moment to break through. The blockages in your energy body are beginning to dissolve now, disintegrating now, transmuting now from solid to liquid to vapor. What was once concrete is becoming permeable. What was once fixed is becoming fluid. What was once an insurmountable wall is becoming a doorway. This energy moves in spirals, in waves, in exponential curves. It doesn't follow linear paths. It explodes outward in all directions simultaneously. It's reaching the cramped, contracted spaces within you and expanding them from the inside out. Feel your chest expanding, your breath deepening, your thoughts accelerating, your perception widening. The energy is moving faster now, faster, creating a momentum that builds upon itself, amplifies itself, multiplies itself with every passing moment. Your entire system is being recalibrated to a higher frequency. The density of stuckness cannot exist at this vibration. You are cracking through the seed, breaking through the barrier. It's like ice trying to remain solid in boiling water. It's physically impossible. The state change is inevitable. The energy moves like a divine spiral up through your system, out through the perception into the quantum field around you, and then back in, stronger, faster, and more coherent. With each cycle, the momentum builds, amplifies, intensifies. Feel yourself being carried forward by this momentum. No longer needing to push, to strain, to force. No longer stuck, but simply allowing yourself to be swept up in this current of transformation. It's moving you now. It's moving you now. It's moving you now, not in some distant future, not as a concept, but as a lived reality in this exact moment. There is a circumstance that will work out in your future, that will take care of whatever it is. If it's your job, if it's your family, if it's your home, if it is anything else. This powerful energy that's flowing through you is rearranging the atoms, rearranging the subatomic particles all around you to free you, to liberate you completely. This energy has its own intelligence, its own direction. It knows exactly where you need to go, exactly what needs to dissolve, exactly what needs to awaken. Trust it, surrender to it, become one with it. You are not separate from this energy. You are this energy experiencing itself through human form. Reality is not singular. It's multiplicitous. It exists in superposition of infinite possibilities. Right now, in this moment, there are versions of you that are already unstuck, already free, already living the liberation that you're seeking. Perceive them now. See that version of you who already made the leap, who left that job, who moved to that new city, who started that creative project, who had that difficult conversation. That version of you exists with the same certainty, the same ontological reality as the version sitting here listening. The only difference is the timeline that you've tuned into. It's like your consciousness is a radio receiver, and right now, you're picking up the frequency of stuckness. But with a slight adjustment, you can tune into the frequency of freedom. That other station isn't something you need to create. It's already broadcasting. It's just a matter of where you direct your attention. Feel yourself standing at the nexus point between timelines. To your left is the path of continued stuckness, familiar, predictable, and known. It may feel comfortable, but it is not. And to your right is the path of liberation, of freedom, exciting, expansive, unknown. You can do what you want, when you want, where you want. Nothing is stopping you. But straight ahead is where these paths converge. That's the bridge we're crossing right now. The bridge between these realities isn't built of physical materials. It's constructed of perception, of consciousness, of quantum possibility. Each step you take across this bridge is a shift in what you believe is possible. Each breath you take on this bridge is breathing life into a new version of reality where you are no longer stuck. Feel how the distance between now and unstuck future is collapsing. It's not a journey of 1,000 miles. It's a single quantum jump. The future where you're free isn't separated from you by time. It's separated only by perception, and the perception is shifting right now. That future isn't coming. It's emerging from within this present moment. It's unfolding like a flower that was always contained within the seed. The timeline where you're unstuck isn't somewhere else. It's right here. Interpenetrating this moment, becoming more visible with every breath you take. Feel how these timelines are bleeding into each other. The qualities of that liberated future, the confidence, the clarity, the choices, the creative flow, the ideas are seeping into your present experience. There is a way out of this. The wisdom of that future self is becoming available to you now. The decisions of that future self are becoming your decisions. The person you will be when you're unstuck isn't someone you need to become. They're someone you already are beneath the temporary limitations. You're not working toward them, you're revealing them. You're not becoming them, you're remembering them. The timeline shift is happening now, in the eternal present moment. You're already standing at the intersection where all possible futures converge. Choose now to be unstuck. You are not your circumstances. You are not your limitations. You are not your stuck patterns. These are temporary conditions. You're experiencing not the fundamental architecture of who you are. Your true identity exists in a vast space between your thoughts. It's the awareness that perceives the stuckness, not the stuckness itself. It's like the sky that remains unchanged while clouds of limitation pass through it. You've been identifying with the clouds, but you are the sky, boundless, expansive, eternally free. The unstuck self isn't something you need to create. It's something you need to recognize. It's already there, operating at a higher octave of consciousness. It's the version of you that exists beyond the construct of limitation, beyond the narrative of stuckness, beyond the temporary configuration of circumstances. Feel it awakening now. Feel that unstuck self surging into your awareness. It's been there all along, watching, waiting for this precise moment to step forward and reclaim the fullness of your existence. This isn't about becoming someone new, it's becoming who you've always been, beneath the temporary disguise of limitation. You are not the person who can't leave that job. You are not the person who is stuck in that house with that person. You are a creative force experiencing a temporary role. You are not the person trapped in that relationship. You are boundless love temporarily focusing on a particular expression. You are not the person who can't afford that change. You are infinite abundance temporarily experiencing a specific financial configuration. Your identity isn't fixed, it's fluid. It's not a static entity, it's a dynamic process. It's not something you are, it's something you're continuously creating in each moment. And in this moment, you're creating a new configuration of self that transcends all previous limitations. I am the architect of my reality. I am the author of my storm. I am the creator of my circumstances. These aren't just affirmations, they're recognitions of your true nature. They're the unstuck self speaking through you, reminding you of what you've temporarily forgotten. Say this with me. I am not my circumstances. I am the infinite awareness experiencing these temporary conditions. Every limitation I perceive is a doorway to greater expansion in disguise. I navigate between timelines with ease, selecting the reality that serves my highest evolution. The version of me that is already free is not in the future. It exists now, and I am merging with that reality. What appears as stuckness is actually the pressure building through breakthrough. I recognize exit points and opportunities that were previously invisible to me. My stuckness was never a mistake. It was perfect preparation for my next evolution. I transform obstacles into launchpads through the alchemy of perspective. I decree that all barriers to my expansion are now dissolving into pure potential energy. I decree that the frequency of limitation can no longer exist in my energy field. I decree that my consciousness now automatically tunes to the timeline where I am already free. I decree that synchronicities and exit points now appear with perfect timing in my experience. I decree that the momentum of transformation is now self-sustaining within me. I decree that the energy once bound in stuckness is now fuel for my quantum leap. I decree that I am now embodying the version of myself that exists beyond all constraints. I decree that my unstuck state is now my natural default way of being in the world. Feel your identity expanding beyond all previous boundaries. Feel the artificial constraints you've placed on your self-concept dissolving into the quantum field. What remains isn't smaller, isn't limited to trying to overcome obstacles. What remains is the cosmic self that sees obstacles as nothing more than interesting props in a play of its own creation. You are vast. You are infinite. You are unstoppable, not because you've achieved something, but because these qualities are your baseline reality. They are who you actually are. The stuck self was never real. It was a temporary costume you wore while playing a particular role in the theater of life. Step into this expanded identity now. Your reality isn't something that happens to you. It's something you're actively creating moment by moment through the quantum mechanics of consciousness. From this unstuck perspective, decision-making becomes an act of reality selection rather than problem solving. When you stand at a decision point, you're not just choosing an option, you're selecting which universe to inhabit. Each choice is a doorway between parallel realities. Ask yourself, which version of reality am I stepping into with this choice? Which timeline am I activating? Which possibility field am I energizing? The stuck perspective asks, what can I do with these limitations? The unstuck perspective asks, what becomes possible when I recognize these limitations as constructs of perception? It's a radical shift from operating within the system to reconfiguring the system itself. Start noticing how opportunities exist in fractal patterns all around you. They've always been there, but your perception has been filtered through the lens of limitation. Now that filter is dissolving and you're beginning to see the exit points that have been hiding in plain sight. These exit points often appear as synchronicities, meaningful coincidences that feel like reality is winking at you. The person who mentions exactly what you need at the perfect moment, the random article that addresses your specific situation. These aren't accidents, they're quantum entanglements between your consciousness and the field of possibility. Your heightened awareness is now actively scanning for these exit points. It's like you've installed a new perceptual software that recognizes patterns invisible to your previous operating system. You're noticing subtle openings, microscopic cracks in the walls of limitation that can be expanded into doorways. When you're facing your stuck situation, ask, what am I not seeing here? What opportunity is disguised as an obstacle? What doorway is masquerading as a wall? I'm not just being rhetorical. These are commands to your consciousness and subconsciousness to reveal what's been hidden. The mechanics of unstuck reality creation operate on momentum rather than force. Instead of pushing harder against resistance, you're learning to redirect that energy. Your awareness has now been activated to notice the subtle decision points that most people miss, the tiny moments where reality branches into different possibilities. The seemingly insignificant choices that actually contain universal shifting potential. You're becoming hypersensitive to these quantum junctures where everything can change. This is the practical reality mechanics that you can apply immediately. Your perception has been recalibrated to see beyond the illusion of being stuck, to recognizing the exit points that lead entirely to new versions of reality. Everything we've activated is now converging into a coherent field of consciousness. The quantum physics of state change, the multiple timelines, the expanded identity, the mechanics of reality creation. These aren't separate concepts, but facets of the same diamond of transformed awareness. As these elements synergize within you, they create a resonance pattern that's stronger than any single component. It's like individual musical notes coming together to form a chord that vibrates at a frequency capable of shattering the glass walls of limitation. This activation isn't something that happened during the session. It's becoming your new default setting of your consciousness. It's not a temporary peak experience, but a fundamental recalibration of how you perceive and interact with reality. With every breath you take, this activation is being encoded deeper into your nervous system. With every heartbeat, it's being circulated through your entire being. With every thought, it's being reinforced as your new normal. The unstuck perspective isn't something you need to maintain, it's becoming your baseline state. As you move through your days, notice how this activation spontaneously arises in moments where you previously would have felt trapped. This integration isn't something you need to force, it's happening by itself. Feel it locking in now, this new pattern of perception, this unstuck reality, this expanded identity. What's happening here isn't a momentary shift, it's a quantum leap in consciousness that will continue to ripple outward through every aspect of your life. Begin to notice the shifts that are already happening. Remember that unsticking isn't a one-time event, but an ongoing process. You'll continue to discover layers of limitation that were previously invisible, and each discovery is another opportunity to apply this activation. You're not alone in this journey. The Reality Revolution community is filled with fellow explorers, many who were stuck at one time, who are here to help you, who are navigating their own process of quantum unsticking. Connect with us through the podcast, through social media, in the comments. Share your breakthroughs, your questions, your insights. If you are stuck, I will imagine you being unstuck. Now just spend a quick moment for me and just feel that feeling of freedom that we have programmed into your energy field. It is undeniable. Now remember, reality isn't something that's happening to you. It's something that happens through you. The power to transform your experience doesn't exist somewhere out there. It exists right here, right now, in the space between your thoughts, in the awareness that's listening to these words right now, in the infinite potential that you are. Welcome to your unstuck reality. Welcome to the Reality Revolution.